And then whenever it needs to be cleaned, just pull it up and it pops right off.
Don't use any random toothbrush you find.
What if I'm old and I can't remember if it's my toothbrush or not? So today we're going to be conquering a very simple but very common problem. And it's just the situation where you've been using your sink and eventually it gets to the point where after running water for a few seconds, it begins to back up. Okay, so we have some kind of a blockage in the drain, but the majority of the time it is not anywhere downstream. So right here is our trap. We have our tailpiece coming down off the bottom of the sink right here. And then we have our pop-up assembly, which is this piece of metal that's coming out of the backside of this tailpiece. And then down here is the trap. And then going into our pipe in the wall. So usually this does not plug, although it can. So it could be here, but usually this tailpiece right here, where this pop-up assembly attaches onto there, that is where you're going to see the majority of accumulation. So it would be nice if we could just grab and remove this here pop-up piece, but unfortunately we cannot do that without removing this pop-up assembly. So we're going to be taking this off of here. So you can see this one's just finger tight pretty much, but you may have to use a wrench depending on what you're up against. So I'm going to loosen that. And then this, you want to make sure that you've given it enough time for the water to drain down. So now I'm going to pull this out of here, just like this. And that's good enough. We'll just kind of keep that off to the side for now. So that's out. Now our pop-up assembly will be free, should be free, minus whatever is attached to it, to pull up and out. So I'm going to grab this here now. Wait, do you want to grab it?
Sure.
Oh, you have gloves.
I have a glove. The really nasty part, if it's that bad.
Okay, so I feel safe to grab the top part. So now we'll just pull this up slowly.
Oh, yes. Isn't that satisfying? Look at all that.
Satisfying. Oh, it's still coming up. It's so gross. Put it in the toilet and flush it down. But take the pop-up assembly off of it first. Somehow Naomi has less fear of this than I do.
I really find it satisfying to clean really, really gross drains.
So, once we get this pop-up assembly kind of cleaned off, I'm going to come back and then we're going to show you the permanent fix to this problem. Now, if you do want to run water in order to rinse off that pop-up assembly, it's a good idea to just put this back in here and then tighten it back down, and then water won't run out of the backside of your tailpiece while you're running water. And
you did just make it harder for me to pull the gunk up.
Oh, sorry. Or you can use just a container underneath your trap and assembly here so that a little bit of water that does come out will get caught in the container below.
So this pile...
What? I don't want to look at it.
Yes, look at it.
You look so much nicer.
They can shut off the video if they want. So, here's
I'm supposed
this.
to show it? Okay.
Yeah.
There's
the pile. It's all like hair and nasty gunk. And it just builds up. And this happens in your tub too. If your water for some reason starts draining slower, this will be the culprit.
Really?
You just, unscrew your thing and dig it out with pliers and...
So, and then throw it into the toilet and flush it down. Or...
You really think in the garbage?
The garbage would probably be better, but I would probably put it in the toilet because I'm so freaked out. I don't want it to be like anywhere near me. Ooh. How do we know the difference between a cleaning toothbrush and a regular toothbrush?
Because I keep it with the cleaning supplies.
What if I find it?
Don't use any random toothbrush you find.
What if I'm old and I can't remember if it's my toothbrush or not?
By then we'll be hiring a cleaning lady who'll bring it with her when she comes.
Ugh. This is horrible.
Hey, look at how much better that is now.
I know.
Look how the water's flowing down there. Look at this.
Incredible. Don't drop that stick in there.
No more water backup.
So once Naomi's finished cleaning off the pop-up assembly, we're going to make a slight modification to it. So the way this pop-up assembly works is it has this hole here on the bottom, and when you lift this lever, that rod pushes up and down on this assembly. It locks in place using this little horseshoe-shaped thing. So in order to make this easier to clean, what we're going to do is actually just make a little cut in the bottom right here. So we're just going to use a tin snip in this case, but you could use a little saw or something. And we're going to make our first cut just slightly off center from the very middle. Right there. And then we're going to make one more small cut right next to it. Like that. And we're just taking out a little bit. And this is still too narrow, so when we push it down, it'll actually flex open over that rod. And there it went. So now it's connected, and then whenever it needs to be cleaned, just pull it up and it pops right off. So with the pop-up assembly, when you put it down in place, you want this to be facing towards the back side of the drain where the rod initially comes through. Although I put it in both ways and it does work fine, so I wouldn't stress out about it too much. So you can see that when we lift this up, it closes just like it's supposed to. And when we push it down, it opens just like it's supposed to. What?
This is very amazing. I'm very excited.
So they actually make a bunch of different pop-up assemblies that you can use in place of what the modification that we just made. So if your pop-up is bad anyway, I'll link to those in the description. They have one that's a magnetic one that's basically going to stick to this controlling lever, or they have this style here, which kind of just pushes down over the actuating lever. But in either case, you should be able to pull these straight out of the drain without having to disassemble it down below. So this should save a lot of effort with having to pull the things out from underneath. Wow, that's quite the stack. Good job. Did you do that?
Look at all of the organized, orderly things.
It is organized. There's towels, and underneath the towels, I know that my toenail clipper's in there. So that's what matters most. But yeah, so that should save some bother with having to work under the sink itself. So we'll just make sure that we have this thing tight enough here so that we don't have any leaks, and then we'll be good to go. So I'm just going to show you that it was just the pop-up assembly, and that's all that was wrong. So we have the sink filled with water now. I'm going to push this down, and you can see how fast that water goes away. If you found this to be helpful, hit that thumbs up button for Naomi. And we will talk to you in the next one.